Good morning to all of you. So we have started this chapter, electricity, and in this chapter we have discussed the following content so far. We have discussed about the electricity, the various sources of electricity, electrical energy and its measurement, electric power, the various types of units of power, then transmission of the power from generating station to the consumer, and supply of electricity from city substation to our homes. Then we have discussed about household distribution of the power, consumption of electrical energy, power rating of common electrical appliances, electric fuse, household circuit system, earthing, and hazards of electricity. Then we have started with static electricity. In this, we have discussed about the static, discuss about the electric charges, movement of the electrons, law of electrostatic attraction repulsion, conservation of the charge, conductors and insulators was the last topic that we have discussed in the previous week. So today we are going to start our discussion, and we will start our discussion with methods of charging a conductor. So as we all know, conductor is a material which allows the electric current to pass through it. So there are two types of the methods which we use to charge any conductor. First is conduction. So like we have studied in the chapter heat transfer, conduction was the process whenever there is a heat transfer takes place when the two substances are in actual contact with each other. Similarly, similar is the case in case of the electricity also. When an uncharged conductor is touched with a charged conductor, it shares the charge of the charged conductor, and this process is called as charging by conduction. For example, an uncharged metal rod A is mounted on an insulating stand, and a positively charged conductor B is touched to the metal rod A. Now due to this, the A becomes positively charged, and suppose if the rod B is negatively charged, the rod A also gets negative charged when it is in contact with rod B. So this is how a conductor is charged by a charged conductor. Same type of charge flows in the uncharged conductor. Okay, so here you can see this is the uncharged conductor, this is the charged conductor. When it is touched, the charge is flows, negative charges flows to the uncharged conductor, and it also becomes uncharged, and it also charged by the negative charge. Next is charging by induction. In this process, an uncharged body is placed near a charged body without touching each other. Okay, so in case of conduction, the transfer of charge takes place by the actual contact of the two bodies, whereas in case of the induction, the charge is transferred without touching each other. The nearer end of the uncharged conductor acquires a charge of opposite nature as compared to the charge on a charged conductor. So in the conduction, what we have seen, the uncharged conductor is acquiring the same type of charge, but in case of the induction, the nearer end of the uncharged conductor acquires a charge of opposite nature. So this process is known as charging by induction. For example, an uncharged conductor A is mounted on an insulating stand, and a charged conductor is brought near to it, because of which an opposite charge develops on the end of the conductor A. So this is the positive charge. Now due to the induction, the negative charge get induced at this end, and at the same time the same kind of charge as of B is developed on the farther end of the A, and here positive charge is developed. So if the charge on the conductor B is positive, then the charge developed on the nearer end of A is negative. And suppose if B is negatively charged, then here the charge will be positive and the charge here becomes negative. So in this manner, the charge appears on the surfaces of the uncharged conductor due to the process of charging of conductor by induction. So let's see few differences between charging by conduction and charging by induction. So process of charging a body by touching a charged body is called charging by conduction. Similarly, whenever there is no touching of two charged bodies, then in that case that is known as the charging by induction. The charge moves from the charged to the uncharged body, and in case of the charging by induction, no charge flows from the charged to uncharged body. Some charge is lost by the charged body, and in this no charge is lost by the charging body. So these are the few differences between the charging by conduction and charging by induction. Now next is electroscope. So what is electroscope? Electroscope is a device that is used to detect electrical charge on an object and its nature. That is, whether the body is charged or not, and if it is charged, what kind of charge is it carrying? Is it positive or negative? The first electroscope was discovered by a British physicist, William Gilbert. Now we already knew that like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. So whenever the two like charges are there, they will repel each other, and if unlike charges are there, they are going to attract each other. There are two types of electroscopes: pith ball electroscope like this, and gold leaf electroscope like this. So we are going to discuss these two electroscopes one by one and how they will function. So the very first electroscope that we are going to discuss is a pith ball electroscope. So a pith ball electroscope consists of a small pith ball suspended with the help of dry silk thread from an insulating stand like this. So this is the insulating stand. Insulating stand is used so that the charge will not flow from pith ball to the ground. This is the silk thread, because silk thread is also can be charged, that is why silk thread has been used, and this is the very small pith ball. Now what happens? It serves the following purpose. First is to find whether the body is charged or uncharged. And how it is being tested? It is brought near the pith ball without touching it. If the pith ball shows a movement, then the body is charged like this. So this is the silk, this is the pith ball, and this is an electrified rod. Now when it is moved near this pith ball, this is the process of induction. So if this body is charged, then the pith ball is going to show the movement, and if it is static, then body is uncharged. Okay, so now there is no movement, and this is the uncharged rod. So if you want to see whether it is uncharged or not, if you brought it near the pith ball, then it will show no movement. So this is its first purpose, to show whether the body is charged or uncharged. Next purpose it serves is to identify the type of charge, whether the body is positively charged or negatively charged. So in that process, pith ball electroscope is charged positively by conduction, and the charged body is brought near it. As we already knew that like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. So if the pith ball moves away from the body, then the body is said to have positive charge, and if it moves towards the body, it is said to have negative charge. So suppose this pith ball is there and it is negatively charged, So when we brought this positively charged rod near this pith ball, it is going to attract this pith ball. So we can say that since A we have charged as negative, so we can say that B is the positively charged body. So in this manner we can detect the type of charge on the body of the on the surface of the conductor. Next in discussion is gold leaf electroscope. So a gold leaf electroscope consists of a brass rod. It consists of a brass rod that is passed through an insulated stopper or plug in a glass case. Okay, again insulated stopper has been used so that there is no flow of charge from the body to the ground. The top end of the brass has a brass disc called the brass cap, and the lower end has two thin gold leaves because gold leaves are the good conductor of electricity. Then the gold leaves are protected from the outside current by the glass case. So this is the reason it is had been put into the glass case, so that no outside current flows to this gold leaves, because we know that glass is a bad conductor of electricity. And lower part of the glass case in the interior is surrounded by a metal foil. So this is the metal foil. Again the metal foil is connected to the earth when the electroscope is used, so that if there is any excess charge other than gold leaf is there, then it should flow to the ground. So like the pith ball electroscope, similar are the functions of a gold leaf electroscope for the detection of the charge. So touch the conductor that has to be tested to the brass cap of the gold leaf electroscope. If the body is uncharged, then there will be no effect on the leaves. If the body is charged, then the gold leaves going to diverge. So this movement of gold leaf shows that the body that we are touching to this brass disc is actually a charged body. Now if you want to differentiate between a conductor and an insulator, two electroscopes A and B are placed close to each other. One is the uncharged and one is the charged electroscope. Now what happens? One of the electroscope is charged by touching its cap. One of the electroscope is charged by touching its brass cap with a charged ebonite or glass rod. So this has been charged, and touch the body to be tested to the brass caps of both the gold leaf electroscopes. Now we will kept the body that has to be tested like this. Now if it was uncharged and it was charged conductor, now due to the touching it acquires some charge. So we can say that this body is a conductor because charge is flowing from this end to this end. Similarly, body to be tested is an insulator. If we put that body onto this, then you can see there is no divergence on the leaves. So we can say that the body that we are using here is an insulator because insulator does not allow the charges to pass through it. So like this we can test whether the given body is a conductor or an insulator. To identify the nature of the charge. So first test if the body is charged. If the body is charged, that you can easily test, you will bring that body near to that electroscope. If the leaves are going to diverge, that means body is charged. Now if the body is charged, the electroscope is charged positively. So what we are going to do, we are going to charge the electroscope positively, and the leaves of the electroscope diverge. Like this, leaves are going to diverge. Now the body that is to be tested is touched with the brass cap. So when it is touched, so we know that by conduction, if the positively charged body is touched with this uncharged body, then the positive charge is going to induce. So due to this positive charge is going to induce here and here. So these leaves spread wider due to the repulsion of the charges. Similarly, if we touch the negatively charged ebonite rod, then this negative charge flows here, due to which what happens, it is going to attract these positive charges. So these leaves comes closer. That means we can say the body is positively charged. So due to the positive charge, the leaves will spread wider, and due to the negative charge, the leaves will spread closer. The leaves comes closer. So we can say if the leaves diverge wider, then the body is said to be positively charged. If they diverge closer, then the body is said to be negatively charged. And this process can also be tested by negatively charging the electroscope also. So we have charged this electroscope negatively. Again, if you bring the negatively charged conductor, then these leaves spread apart, and if you brought the positively charged conductor, then these leaves spread apart lesser. That means they comes closer. So this is the function of the gold leaf electroscope. I hope you must have understood it. So that's it for the today. In the next video, we will discuss about the remaining topics of this chapter. For now, thank you.